Well, here we are. It is Monday, November 4th, 2024. And before it happens, I wanted to get this video out and talk a little bit about a sale that's coming up at Sotheby's over in London in a couple of days. And on the 6th of this month at 10:30 in the morning. And it's a pretty good looking sale. They got some nice things there. It's not as powerful a sale as they normally have. Seems to be a trend that we're seeing sort of across the board with a lot of the Asian art sales that they, among the bigger houses, they seem to be getting thinner and weaker and more predictable, I guess is the word, in many, many ways. They have some nice things. I'm not putting the sale down. They've got lots of nice Qinlong pieces and some rather nice Daocai and Kangxi and Guangzhou and so forth examples. But there are a couple of lots in here I wanted to talk about in particular. We'll see what all of these bring. These are all sort of the tried and true examples for the collecting world, pretty things and so forth, nice looking bowls and stem cups and all that good stuff. And but there's a couple of things in this sale that I thought were awfully nice. And one of them I want to talk about. One of the lots. This is it. This is a major lot. And for some reason, I don't know why, it was given a very, very low estimate. This is a pair of Jiajing Ming dynasty, these fish jars. And as some of you know, these are extremely rare. There's only one or two other pairs of these known in the world, and these are big ones. These are 18 inches tall. These are the big versions, not the little ones. And these were done, many scholars believe they were done sort of at the end of the Jiajing period when they mastered applying red enamel over gold. And they were very complicated to make, so they didn't make a lot of them. They made a lot of blue and white work, of course, during the Jiajing and other examples, but they didn't make a lot of these. And the estimate on these is mysteriously low, and I don't know why. The estimate of these are estimated at just 600,000 to 1 million pounds. And when I saw that, I thought that sounded odd because back in 2017, one of these jars was sold at either Sotheby's or Christie's, I can't remember which. And as I recall, it sold for over 210 million Hong Kong, which you do the math on it. Divide that 210 million by 8, which is the exchange rate. It ends up coming out to about somewhere in the area of what, 10 or 15 million dollars a piece. Why are these estimated for so little? If anybody knows, I'd love to hear. Maybe they've been completely restored. Maybe there's something really, really wrong with them. I don't know why. But if one of these jars sold a few years ago, maybe it was a little better. Didn't look much better. I remember seeing it. Looked virtually identical. Was given 210 million Hong Kong dollars for it. So I'm not sure why the estimate on these is so low. I expect them to bring much, much more than the $600,000 to $1 million estimate. Don't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they brought 15 or 20 million. But based on previous auction results, maybe there's something we're missing on these. These are incredibly rare. They're incredibly beautiful. It's a pair. They have all the history on them too, which is rather wonderful. They've got a very nice old photograph of them here in the possession of their previous owner, and here they are mounted on these openings in the wall, on these knee walls here, and this rather lovely room with high arches and so forth. So we'll see what happens. But it's one of those mysterious things I don't quite get. These do not turn up often. There is a YouTube guy out there that's rather hilarious. He's in China somewhere, and he seems to have an endless supply of these. He offers is authentic, but none of them are, of course, and so forth. But anyway, we're going to see how that does, how these do. But the estimate seems mysteriously low. If any of you have gotten a condition report on these, maybe they've been shattered and re-glued. I don't know. There's a huge write-up on them. They are very, very, very rare because they, as I said, they didn't make a lot of them. During the Jiajing period, they made a lot of blue and white wares, as we're all aware. Polychrome examples like this, at this level of refinement, was a new thing in China at the time. Being able to do this type of enameling was relatively new. So we'll see what they do. The other things in the sale that are quite interesting is this. This is also a great thing. This caught my eye. It's a Yongle period Ming bar brim dish. It's not a huge dish, but it had belonged to Shah Abbas. And the Shah Abbas collection, if you know anything about it, he put his mark on them. And this has the mark of Shah Abbas on it, so a 16th century sultanate. So if you want to own something that had belonged to a Shah, this is it. It's beautifully painted. A classic Yongle Ming, very, very white porcelain, very, very fine white porcelain. Here's the back of it, and there's the mark right here. That's why they're ascribing it to him. And apparently there's considerable family history with it. And this is a very interesting thing because it only has, this is the provenance of it. Collection of Shah Abbas, 1588 to 1629, and then acquired in Europe by the father of the present owner in the 1960s. That's all that's known about it. It's estimated at 80 to 120,000 pounds. It's a historic rarity. This is the kind of stuff that really gets people worked up. If you like to own things with a fascinating history, this ties together the whole history of trade and porcelain trade between China. That was established during the Yuan dynasty and then into the Ming dynasty. And now you have this Yongle plate that was sent to the court of Shah Abbas and then given his mark. This is a fascinating thing. Really, really is. It's not a big plate. I think it's 6 inches in diameter or something. What is it? 7 3/4 inches. It's not a huge plate, but it's a historic example. Looks to be very, very nice. And then other things in the sale are stuff like this. It's really nice. Kangxi period, pretty deeply carved, and in very nice condition brush pot. Good piece of bamboo, very, very finely worked. I like the facial expressions on it. The depth of carving is quite good on it. The surface finish looks good. And I don't see anything, deleteriously, dangerously wrong with it, certainly. There's the bottom of it. That's what it should look like. Nice, smooth, clean, fresh, not busted anywhere. It has the normal little cracks up in the corners, but expect to see those. That's not unusual on bamboo, of course. And the estimate's perfectly reasonable, 3,000 to 5,000 pounds. If you've been looking for a really great brush pot to add to your collection, and you could buy this for that price, I think it's a great buy. It's a great buy. And then over to this. This is one of the big guns of the sale. And before I start talking about this, I want you to take a look at the woman in the foreground. And when I first saw this, I didn't notice the title. I didn't see the exceptional and massive huanghuali cabinet. This cabinet is over 10 feet tall. It's a very, very big cabinet, and it has a chi decoration on it, which is extremely rare. Typically these are dragon forms that come from the Shang dynasty, and they typically only appeared on Ming imperial pieces or cabinets meant for the imperial household. And these are often made in pairs. Typically, I don't know where the other one went, but boy, this is what. Look at this. This is what figure. This woman is probably 5'7" or so in height, and look at this cabinet, 10 feet. This is a beast of a cabinet. Spectacular wood quality, beautiful huanghuali. The hardware looks great on it. They've got a bunch of interesting photographs and comparable pieces you can look at if you like to look up comps and so forth. Here's a picture of the interior open, beautiful dark wood, beautifully colored, and so forth. You want to get some natural light pictures if you think of bidding on this to make sure they get the colors right. But boy, they sure look it. But that golden huanghuali and that carving, often these compound chests, as I sometimes refer to them, they don't have carving on the front. It's just the huanghuali boards. Here they went ahead and carved them because they did do that on occasion in this massive size. My God, it's enormous. And I think the estimate is low. I'm not quite sure why the estimate is so low. Well, it's $1 million to $1.5 million, but it doesn't. Maybe it's not low, but it doesn't seem like an unreasonable estimate. We'll put it that way for a pair of a chest rather this big. This is an absolute monster and has a very, very rare carving on it that ties into the the furnishings of the imperial household during the late Ming dynasty. So we'll see how that does. And then hopping along over to this I plucked out just because over the years I've had a few of these. I love these things. This is a very, very nice Chunlong, double gourd loop handle vase. And the first one I ever bought of one of these, it was interesting. I was at an auction in Ipswich, Massachusetts, run by Northeast Auctions. Years and years ago, it was a clean-out sale. And they used to, back in the day, they used to get in the habit of putting out beer flats when they were doing clean-out sales for those auctions. And in New England, a beer flat auction could be very, very fascinating because a lot of things get thrown into beer flats that maybe wouldn't have gone into a beer flat. Certainly wouldn't go into a beer flat today. And the auction, this was in a VFW hall, they'd hold it up. And I came across a box lot that had one of these in it and 12 Kangxi month cups. And they were all in one beer flat. And but this was laying in there, and I absolutely loved it. And I bought the whole lot. I think I paid about $180 for it, and plucked out the month cups, and I sent those to somebody. We got a lot of money for them. And then this double gourd tea dust glaze piece I sold to a very good friend of mine who's now deceased, named Peter Rosenberg. And at the time, I think this was 30 years ago, or 35 years ago, I guess was the first one. And at the time, he paid the awesome price of about $9,000 or $10,000 for it. And I thought that was just amazing back then for one of these things. And today, the estimate is, drum roll please, 80 to 120,000 pounds. All right, and people say, well, why didn't you hang on to it? Well, you got college, you got kids going to school and summer camp to pay for it, ski lessons. You got to sell stuff. That's what happened to that. I was happy to sell it to him, though. Peter was a very good man. I liked Peter a great deal. But anyway, this is one of these. So every time I see one of these, I always think of Peter Rosenberg and 30, 40 years ago when these things were around. You would find these in the States occasionally. And there it is. So beautiful. And then over to this very nice Langyao Kangxi vase. And again, this is one of those things that seems like the estimate's very low on it. It's about 14 inches tall, and it's only got a 5,000 to 7,000 pound estimate on it. The glaze on it looks quite good. The foot splays out nicely. Overall, it looks like a very, very lovely example. I like the color, the ruby red. The color is very rich and deep. We'll see how it does. Maybe these things have softened up a bit in recent months. I don't know. But the price on this, the estimate on this seems extremely reasonable. And there's not a lot of information about it. This is this London sale. London sales are always kind of funny over there. Sometimes they have loads of information, and other lots they have almost nothing. But everybody knows what this is, so I think it'll probably do well. I suspect it'll bring 10 to 15,000 anyway, but you never know. And then over to this. These are really, really nice. These are a pair of Qianlong Meiping vases. Now, they're done in the Ming, sort of in the style is originally, from the Ming dynasty. But during the Qianlong period and in the Qing dynasty, the style of the way the flowers were depicted and the layout and so forth was sort of updated to be more reflective of the Qing taste than the Ming taste. So you ended up with these. And these are extremely striking. They're very, very striking. And you'll notice that they are a matched pair. They are basically identical. They are not a mirror pair so much, but a match pair, and they're beautifully done. Beautiful color cobalt, beautifully detailed, good use of negative space, very nicely potted, very powerfully potted, rounded shoulders, and then coming up in this very nicely done neck with a little rim lip around the top, and all of the decoration is beautifully proportioned into it. These are very, very lovely, lovely, lovely vases. And there's the mark on the bottom, and they match perfectly. The foot rims are the same. These things absolutely grew up together. Any rate, they're estimated at 400,000 to 600,000 pounds. But it seems to me in the past, when one of these has come up, they tend to bring 150 to 250,000, 300,000. So I think 400,000 to 600,000 pounds is probably very warranted. And then over to this. This struck me as a wonderful thing. It's a Guangzhou charger, but I love how the dragons are sort of swimming through the clouds like synchronized swimmers. I think it's rather interesting. Very, very nicely done. It looks to be in great condition. The gilding on it looks excellent. I don't see any wear. I love the soft blue on the dragon on the left, that light blue. It's a very, very appealing, and it contrasts very nicely with the gold and red dragon on the right. Overall, the color selection on this was quite exceptional. Very, very nice, and it is, of course, Marken period on the back. There it is. That's what the back of one of these should look like. The lotus flowers on the back too are very delicately done, very soft, very almost pastel-y in tone. Beautifully done. And I like. This is a very, very nice plate. Estimated at 10 to 15,000 pounds. I suspect it's going to get there. This is a pretty good sized plate. It measures 15 and 3/4 inches in diameter. and it's in beautiful condition with very, very good color. It has everything going for it, and as I said, the way the dragons are positioned, it very much looks a lot like synchronized dragons. I like it. They're nice. And then over to this. This is nice. And they didn't date this other than just saying it's Qing Dynasty. It looks like an 18th century piece of burlwood to me. But these are all, notoriously hard to date with any absoluteness because it's a piece of wood. And wood in one place for 100 years can age twice as much as a piece of wood somewhere else that's been there for 200 years. It's very hard to date wood. Unless there's some sort of chemical analysis. But the underside of it, it's been oiled. It came from the Huisman collection. It's just a nice looking brush pot. If you're a scholar's pot collector, this and the other brush pot I think are both wonderful things. And there's a Sung piece of woodenware coming up too at the end. I want to talk about that. That's a nice example also. But I like the base on it. The whole package is very, very appealing. Estimate is reasonable, 3,000 to 5,000 pounds. It measures about 5 inches. 6 and 5/8 inches in height. So it's almost 7 inches tall. Pretty good size. But it's a very, very nice piece of burlwood. If you like burlwood, I love burlwood, so it's my personal prejudice. And then the big Ludon. If we've been paying attention to the auctions for the last couple of months, a number of these Ludons, these big bronze Ludons, have turned up in different qualities and so forth. This is a particularly good one. This one is inlaid with gold and silver. Very, very nice example, beautifully detailed, and in spectacular condition. The patina looks good on it. I don't see any damage to it anywhere, but as I recall, it's 14 inches tall. This is a big one, right? 14 inches. Came from Spielman. 14 and 5/8 inches tall. So this is a fairly large one. For an incense burner, Ludon form. It's estimated at 50 to 80,000 pounds. It'll be very interesting to see what it brings because it's so detailed, it's so big. All of the work around the head and so forth is extremely refined, as is the silver and gold inlay on the body, the lower body itself. Really, really exceptional. They're dating it basically as being Kangxi. So we'll see how that does. It should do well. The ones that have sold recently were mostly later 18th century ones, and they brought 10 to 15,000. This is an earlier example, and it's inlaid, and it's enormous. And then over to this. This is another little thing I saw that's sweet. This is not a big thing. It's a Southern Sung celadon bowl. It's about 4 or 5 inches in diameter, but it's a very sweet piece of celadon. And it is Southern Sung, no doubt about it. And there's the bottom of it, very nicely finished. As you can see, the glaze is quite even all the way around. It's a very good example, and it reminds me of those incense burners. We see three-legged incense burners we see all the time in this almost the same exact glaze. But the glaze and potting on this is quite excellent. It's very evenly finished down to the foot rim, and I think the estimate is more than reasonable. The estimate is just 5,000 to 8,000 pounds. For a very nice piece of sungware, and the exact height of it is 4.5 inches in diameter, rather the exact measurements. It's a beautiful little example, though. If you've been looking for a nice piece of Southern Sung that's affordable, this might be it. And then over to this is the huanghuali cup stand, Sung Dynasty, and you recognize the form, but seeing it in huanghuali, this very deep, rich, warm huanghuali with a brass mount. Or maybe a bronze alloy mount. I'm not sure what it is. It could be one of the other at this point. It's over 1,000 years old, and the color can mellow out to look like bronze. But it looks like bronze. But anyway, this is a rare bird. This is a really great thing. If you like cup stands and unusual accoutrements, this is not something that's going to appeal to the broad-based market period buyer. This is somebody who collects scholars' objects and table objects, unusual forms. Boxes, carved bamboo, this sort of thing. This is a really, really nice example. Really, really interesting. And it's fairly rare. You don't see them very often. The estimate's right in there, 15 to 20,000 pounds. It could have a little trouble selling. I'm not sure. I couldn't find it. I tried to find a comp for this thing, and I couldn't really find one. They have a good shot of the underside of it, though. There it is. In the graining in the huanghuali, you notice how the light and dark striations on these Sung examples, they tend to be fairly dramatic, not the warm, lighter honey color that you most often see on the later Ming huanghuali. This is the 500 years earlier. It'll be darker, it'll be richer, closer to mahogany in color, actually. And this is a very, very nice one. There's the interior of it. It looks like it's in stunning condition. That's, again, getting back to everything else we've just looked at. It's condition, in unusual form that make them very interesting. The Guangzhou dish was in perfect condition. The Ludon was in beautiful condition. It's all about condition. So I'm very curious to see how this sale does, because for the condition freaks, this looks like a good sale. But we'll find out. We'll find out in just a couple of days. We'll revisit it when it sells. But I wanted to run through those. It's on the Sotheby's site right now. Christie's doesn't have anything worth looking at over there right now that I could see. But Sotheby's has this, and they have a painting sale coming up. Got some decent things in there, and we'll see how it goes. All right. But that's it for today. So take a look, see what you think, and leave a comment. Tell me what you think of these jars. These are doozies, boy. And I think they're gonna. If they're perfect condition, they're gonna make headlines when these sell. They're absolutely gonna make headlines. These are so rare, so rare. All right. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't here so far. Give us a thumbs up to help the algorithm and do all that good stuff with YouTube. And I'll see you later on this week. All right. Bye-bye.